What's going on, y'all? Tein with the Digital Realty team and Freedom Growth Partners of LPT Realty here. And today we're going to be going over my least favorite type of lead generation all the way down to my favorite type of lead generation there is. So you don't want to miss this one. But before we go into this, if you find this information valuable as you watch this video, smash that like button and please consider subscribing because we do this for absolutely free. So this let the YouTube algorithm know that we're doing a good job, and I know there's a lot of you guys that are repeat watchers or viewers and you're not subscribed yet. So do me a favor, don't be that freeloader, subscribe, smash that subscribe button, please. And as well, comment down below on any questions that you might have in reference to the video. I'd love to chat and see what I can do to help out. Please keep in mind as you start watching this video, this is just straight opinion, all right? And quite honestly, all leads work. It's just really if the agent put in the work. I've closed all types of leads. However, you're going to want to determine where you're at in your career and be wise on what you choose. And this is what this video is for, so you can kind of get a good idea throughout my career in the industry, what I have found, at least in my opinion, in my market, what I thought was from the least successful to my favorite ones that are most cost efficient and as well great ROI. Number 14 on the list for me is going to be Facebook ads. These can be quite costly, especially if you have a social media ad agency running it. It can be cost efficient if you're running it on your own. However, the disruptive marketing aspect of it, and what I mean by disruptive marketing is these people are scrolling on Facebook, Instagram feed with zero intentions or interest in real estate, yet they saw the ad and it impelled them to essentially click on it, and then it converts into a lead. And a lot of the times, you know, it just takes a lot longer to convert these leads, and if you don't have the funds, I don't recommend going into these. Number 13 on the list for me is going to be shared Google pay-per-click leads. There are pros and cons of this. Obviously the pros, a lot cheaper than getting exclusive Google pay-per-click leads. However, the con is shared with a bunch of other agents. So some of them that are even older, they've been getting bombarded and they may not pick up the call, so it takes a little while. So you got to make sure you got the right systems in place to eventually convert them. However, I've had success with these as well. So it's just really a matter of, again, if the agent puts in the work, have some systems in place, some automations in place, and you'll definitely be able to close some of these leads that are cheaper and a great ROI if done properly. Number 12 on the list for me is open houses. These are great, however they can be sometimes bad as well. I've had open houses where nobody shows up really, and really what I've come to find out is it's really dependent on the market, the property, and as well the location, right? So the neat thing about open houses is you have something to be able to market, a property that you're able to market. So what I would highly recommend is if you are working open houses, definitely go door knocking around the area, because that's where I have gotten majority of my business from the open houses, is actually going door knocking around the area. And I end up getting a homeowner, and then, you know, sometimes you get lucky and a buyer comes along that's not working with an agent and you start helping them out as well. But from my past experience, a lot of the times they're working with an agent already, and majority of the time the agent sent the person to the open house because it just so happened to be the time they wanted to see the property, there was an open house happening already, right? So that's one of the downsides. But overall, it's super cost efficient, especially for a new agent. You're able to get in front of people and you have a product ready to show. Number 11 on the list, organic video content creation. And you can post these videos on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and it's super cost effective. However, the downside of it is it's going to require a lot of effort, a ton of videos, and some time. But the neat thing is videos, they prospect 24/7 unlike a human being. So that's the great thing about these videos. It might take a little while for it to build up. However, when it does start getting some traction, it'll work really well. But do keep in mind, it's all dependent on the markets that you're in as well, and what people are searching. So for example, I know for a fact that searches for homes for sale in a market like Dallas, Texas is going to be a lot more than my Virginia market. But it's definitely something worth doing and having a long-term strategy behind, because it prospects 24/7. Number 10 on the list, door knocking. We all know that door knocking is probably the most influential lead generation there is, because you're face to face with a human being and you can build a relationship much better. You can door knock all sorts of leads, expires, FSBOs, right? or you just door knocking around the area, or as I mentioned before, open houses, great thing for it as well, just listed, right? However, the con of it is you only have so much time in the day to door knock, and now just imagine as your business picks up and you still need to door knock to consistently generate leads. So I don't think it's the most efficient in regards to how many people you can chat with. However, super powerful and is super effective. Number 9, calling expireds. These are the lowest hanging fruits in our industry. And what I mean by the lowest hanging fruits, these are people that's raised their hand and they said, I want to sell my house. They've also raised their hand and said, hey, I'm willing to pay an agent to help me get my home sold. But sometimes these are also rotten low hanging fruits, I found out, right? One thing you want to keep in mind, like in a market like we have today, a lot of houses are selling. If you're not selling, you're just really overpriced. Right? So some of these sellers are unrealistic on the price, and if you have the proper conversation, you can definitely bring the price down, which I've done before in the past. However, that's a lot more of those, a lot more of the conversations that need to be had up front, meaning getting a hold of these expireds are really tough. So, speed to lead is super important. You got to be dialing by 8 o'clock in the morning to get a hold of expireds in certain competitive markets, super competitive markets. I've heard of agents even starting to call by 6:30, right? In markets like California and certain areas like that. But again, you're calling a bunch of numbers and you don't even know if you have the right person. And sometimes you just might be too late because someone was calling them earlier than you, even though it's not legal. Number 8, FSBOs. FSBOs are a phenomenal great lead source. I would say the second lowest hanging fruit. However, they raise their hand, they want to sell the house, but the downside, they don't want to work with an agent, right? Until they start running into some trouble. So with FSBOs, you got to give it some time, and then they'll want to work with you. But the downside, again, super competitive because of the fact that they're second lowest hanging fruit. Speed to lead is super important on these as well. And especially understanding that you are going up against a lot of discount brokerages out there too. So you're going to have your skills the sharpest as possible. But even then, if you have the best value proposition, sometimes they just don't see the value in agents. But there are FSBOs out there that will appreciate a good agent, and I love FSBOs. So definitely a good lead source, especially if you're looking for a cost-efficient route. Number 7, private Google pay-per-click leads and Google LSA. So these are people that are intentionally looking up on Google home for sale or what is my house worth, right? And they're turning into a lead. They're Google pay-per-click or realtor, Norfolk, Suffolk, right? And with these, obviously, you can do it on your own, but it can be expensive if you hire a social media ad agency. But Google LSA is awesome because you only pay when you actually get a lead, and sometimes you can dispute it as well if it doesn't fall into an actual lead category. So these are super hot leads, and I love converting these. But the downside, it can be costly for Google pay-per-click aspect. Google LSA is relatively cheap. As long as you don't have a social media agency involved, then it can be pretty cost effective. Number 6, property specific leads. So what I mean by that, these are people that are looking up on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, and they're looking at specific property and they want to see the property. Turns into a lead. However, majority of them are buyers, and if you're looking for listings, it's not always a guarantee, but we do know some of these buyers are also homeowners, right? So you will run across those. But these are super costly, and in order to get into certain markets, you have to pay thousands sometimes. Right? Zillow does have the Flex program where you pay at closing if you're eligible for it, but a lot of the times the Flex programs are going to the top teams in the area. But you could definitely pay to play. They're higher conversion rates for sure, and it's just keeping in mind, costly but higher conversion. So is the ROI worth it? You're going to be the one to determine that. Number 5, referral partners. Imagine having an army of other business owners that like you, want to support you, and you are their go-to real estate agent. So you can have that done through networking groups, right? And if you have attorneys, even better. If you have accountants, even better. But there's a bunch of other business owners that you can refer business to, and they'll refer business back to you. So comment down below if you want some good networking groups to check out. Number 4, this is what I call target prospecting, all right? Why call a bunch of people that are not likely to sell? with target prospecting, you're able to get really fine-tuned data where these people are likely to sell, to upsize, downsize, relocate, right? Free to clear properties, absentees, loan to value ratio. So there's numerous ways that we can get that done. I get my data from Mojo and the share group, and you'll see a link down below in the description where you'll be able to find out more information and also get a discount. So check that out. I love that lead source. You know, obviously you have to pay some money for the lead source, but the conversion ratio on these are super high because you're targeting people that are likely to sell. Number 3, geoforming mailers. All right, these are definitely costly. However, if you split it with a lender, then it won't be as costly, but it will take some time. You have to keep in mind this is more of a long-term game, but when they do convert, the ROI is there, especially if you're looking for listings. You're able to target a specific neighborhood where you want to become their go-to agent and as well the local expert. So there's no better way to do that than geoforming mailers. Number 2, circle prospecting. This kind of go hand in hand with the target prospecting, but circle prospecting, I'm selecting neighborhoods and homes that I want to sell. So this go also really well with the geoforming. I do a combination of those two and I become the local go-to expert for when people are looking to buy or sell in that area. Number 1, sphere of influence. I say this all the time because a lot of agents reach out and they're trying to find ways they can generate leads. And the first question I ask them is, how long have you lived in the area? Because I want to know, do they have a good list of people that they already know that they can essentially get some business from and help out, right? Because a lot of us, like myself, when I moved into a brand new market in 2019, I didn't have a sphere of influence. So I had no option but to call out to random people. But if you have a sphere of influence, you can build a top 100 list and nurture them, and essentially you'll become their go-to agent when they're ready because they already know you, right? And especially if you're good and they can trust you, then you'll be their go-to agent. And over time, for agents that don't have a sphere of influence, they're able to build a sphere of influence through their book of business by hosting events and building a long-term relationship outside of real estate. So that for me is my favorite type of lead source. If you found this information valuable, please smash that like button, and please, again, subscribe if you haven't done so already, because there's a lot of returning viewers that have not subscribed yet. So we do this for absolutely free, so it would be greatly appreciated. And comment down below on any questions that you might have that I could help answer. All right, and if you want to partner up with me and learn more about LPT Realty, click on the link down below and I'll be in touch for our free consultation call and see if it makes any sense at all for us to possibly work together.